Hey, Mr. Miller, welcome to the podcast.
Welcome. What's up going on, man? How you doing?
You welcome. You welcome me to my show.
You know me, I do interviews, so it's like have it.
No, I feel you. Guesting on other people's shows, I haven't done too much, but I know like I end up doing the same thing where it feels like, oh, I got a host too. I'm so used to that too, man.
Yeah.
But you know, had to have you on because you've had Morgan on an episode of your show, and that's what brought me into your view. I was like, I gotta add you. I gotta add Rick. And so I had added everybody on the show. You also had Keely, previous guest Keely as well.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, gotta get Mr. Miller on, man. That's the the iconic background. The show is great. Like, you know.
I appreciate it, man. It's been a blessing, man. It's a blessing to create and have people love and want to watch it and come back. That's the best thing about it.
No, yeah. Speaking of which, I keep bumping into my mic. Speaking of which, let people know who you are and, you know, do your plugs right here.
Yeah, this your boy, Mr. Miller, always checking in live from the basement of Miller's Corner. Yo, you can call me Mr. AKA Mr. Kicks and Fatherhood. If y'all know what time it is, I've been doing this for 9.5 years running with me and my kids, so people know me as Mr. Kicks and Fatherhood. You can also catch me every Wednesday night with my peoples, Rick Dove, Lace Differently. Y'all know what time it is if the shoe fits. And, you know, I had my normal interviews that I had the wonderful Mr. Morgan come on and had some other guests come on. We go ahead and do live from Miller's Corner where we just chop it up. Me and you just chop it up. But that's who I am. That's who I be. Little Rock representative, professional sneaker.
That is fire. Yo, listen, that was better than any intro I've ever done, man. You had that on deck, man. I was like, whoa, it's my show?
Hey, man, I love to do this, man. I've been doing it for so long, and I used to be a DJ, so it's just, me cutting back on the ones and twos and spitting to the crowd, so it's just that it's always in me.
Oh, man, we're definitely going to get into that, but at first, we're going to jump into the question that I ask everybody every week. And that is, what's your first kicks? What's that first pair of sneakers you absolutely needed to have?
That first pair of sneakers I absolutely needed to have was going to be that the Black Infrared 6, man. That's got a lot of history with it. I'm a young kid, but it was like the transition between Magic and Jordan and Bird. And, if you remember that with that shoe, that's Michael Jordan's first championship. That's what he won. When he won that chip in L.A., it was that one. And I just remember my dad was a huge fan and my dad hated it. My dad was like, oh, man, no, Jordan ain't going to do nothing. And da-da-da. You know how the old folks talk. You know how they do sometimes. And, it was just one of those things. And it just had that memory of me being a little kid, dragging my dad, and doing it. So I just remembered that. And it was always a shoe I always had to have. And I remember working at Athlete's Foot. You know what I'm saying? I'm one of the people, I'm old school. A lot of y'all don't know who Athlete's Foot was, but
I've only seen one. I've only seen one in my life, man.
I worked at them. I was there. So these are a pair of 2000 infrared black and varsity red.
Those are crazy, man.
2000. So I had to have when they re-released again. I got the other pair that came out earlier, but that, it was kind of like the Infa Pink, and I didn't like it. So when the 2018 pair came out, I had them repainted again to a darker red, giving it that Nike Air on the back, which was synonymous with the black stitching, which we have not got properly. I would love to get the sample. If you know, the sample has more red in the middle. But this is my all-time favorite shoe. This is the shoe I had to have. And just to take this story a little bit further, when my father passed about 5 years ago, and the day he passed, he had, I remember a lot, but the day he passed, he had on one of my favorite sixes, probably my second favorite six. It's going to be the Carmine.
Carmine.
And I ended up wearing, when he passed, this is what I had on. So I don't wear this shoe anymore. And I've got the re-release with the Nike Air on the back. But the sixes are my favorite shoe because it has a lot of memories connected to my dad. Yeah. So the Carmine sixes do have a nice little touch with it. So throw those up there as honorable mention.
Many condolences,
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Rough, man. but not to jump into this weirdly, I did a very bad pivot because that's a very bad thing to do.
Nah, you're good, man. Nah, man.
But just give a little. I'm gonna give a little synopsis of the Nike Air Jordan 6 Retro. Well, from 2010, the specific pair that we're gonna you also pulled up as well for the listeners. This has the same color blocking as the 1991 OG Black / Infrared, but features varsity red in place of the OG's infrared accents. It was also released in January 2010. The sneaker also comes with a black suede upper, Nike Air unit, and translucent white outsole. It's absolutely a classic pair.
Yes.
I think for me, I've never got into sixes. I don't have any sixes. And because for some reason, the tongue just kind of always took me away out of it for some reason.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I'm like, yo, Jordan was ahead of his time with that tongue.
Yeah, it really was. It was kind of just one of that shoe that you had to know what you were rocking. Like you had to have the right, let the jeans fit right. You had to, it was a hard shoe. And I just fell in love with it just because of the way it looked. And, I just love the design, the foot to pull it on. It was just so, with the 2-3, how you can see the 2-3 printed on. It was just everything to me. And it always will be. So this shoe can never do any wrong. There's very rarely, hardly any sixes I try not to pass. So, but this right here, my heart and soul.
I love that, man. I love that. Did you always grow up in Little Rock? Were you? Because I know you mentioned that you were part of the military. So
yeah.
Did you?
So I was born in Ramstein, Germany.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, I was born over there, and when I was about 3 or so, we moved. My parents, my mother's side is from Houston, and my father's side from Jackson, Mississippi. So we needed a place to be. We was right in the middle. So Arkansas and Little Rock was where it was like the center of attention that we can go 8 hours to Texas and 5 hours to Jackson. So I grew up around military bases, but summertime and everything, I was in Texas or Mississippi. You know how it is. They ship you off for, month and a half. That's how it was. So I kind of grew up in the melting pot of the South.
That's wild. I gotta know, because when you're living on base, right? Is it just very are you allowed to have a fashion sense? Can you be expressive at all?
Oh yeah, it just depends on a lot of you had you had the officer sides. You had the officer side where it was everything was different. The housing was different. They got paid a lot more money, so that was the up. But then you had the regular airmen or whatever that was on base, and they had the regular housing. But we had the base exchange, and it was real cool. We got polo. We used to get you ask anybody that was in the military back in the old 97 through 2005. Yo, the base exchange was getting everything. You could do that. Just if you were in the military, you couldn't have big earrings and anything like that. But the fashion shit back then was jerseys and big pants, so it really wasn't as expressive as what it is right now. And I was raised all around them, so I dealt with both sides, the Air Force and the Navy. So I dealt with
the Navy for some reason when you said Air Force, I'm thinking maybe they were rocking Air Forces in Houston, and then no.
Air Force base. The one I live in, the one that's in Jacksonville, is an Air Force base. It was really one of the best air bases back in the day, but now it's just you staying here for a couple weeks, do your training, they ship you out. Yeah, so it's a lot different. But I remember back in the day, I was an Air Force One king, just slaying them joints. I had my Connect. I had, old Miss Joyce would pull me all the 11s and 11.5s and 12s. And I go slaying them joints at the high school right up the street. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
Because we was getting them tax free, $70.
Oh yeah, that's right.
$60. So I'm in there making $30, $30 a sneaker. I'm don't let me get started.
This is about that. I mean, what propelled you to be this is the wave. I'm gonna jump on, copping a bunch of Air Forces and start selling them.
Man, it really wasn't like the mentality the way it is now. It was more like, yo, I can hook you up. Yeah. I'm gonna make a little change so I can buy mine. It was understood. It was kind of like that unwritten rule. Even now, like even when I was getting hookups at Champs and whatever, I used to always tip my man $20, $30. So it was nothing for me. Like it is what it was. And so I've always kept that from back then. So when I was just side hustling, it was just like, I wasn't looking for clientele. It was just people would know who I was and they really needed a hookup. You know what I'm saying? And we just and that opened my doors to get a job at Athlete's Foot and do everything. So it just opened the doors by just everybody knowing what I was about.
Mm-hmm. What was that job? I mean, listen, Athlete's Foot. You're bringing me back with Athlete's Foot, but what was that like? What was it like working there? Like what
it was great.
Yeah.
I loved it because they took pride in what you knew and what you knew about shoes. Like you had to go take tests. You had to learn about the shoes. The reps would come in and talk to you and like give you the swag. Like we weren't getting it at Foot Locker and Champs from what all I know. And I know many people that work for Foot Locker and Champs. I never had in-depth reps come in and talk to you. New shoes, New Balances, all them. They was coming into Athlete's Foot and literally just teaching us. Mm-hmm. So that's how I learned. I remember the Nike rep coming and telling us about the Foamposites when the penny dropping, and I remember like that was the first $200 shoe, and we was all like, wow. But the Nike rep came in and was like, yo, this is why, and I was like, now you can't do that no more. Now these kids don't know nothing.
No, yeah.
Yo, if I need something for blah, 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 blah. Yo, I got this Air Max. Bro, that's going to kill my feet if I'm doing that. It's not, they don't work like that no more. And I miss those days. I can't go into a sneaker shop and have a good conversation about shoes I may be looking for.
Yeah, it is very mind boggling because when I go to shops as well, like I'll ask people and I'll be like, yo, do you know when these are coming in? And so it's like, oh, you just check the app. Just check the app. I'm like, and it's like you work at a restaurant and you don't taste any of the food.
You don't know what the menu is?
Yeah.
Oh man, it bothers me. Like I've gone to sneaker shops and been like, yo, y'all getting the da-da-da-da. Man, what's that? Never mind.
The worst.
Never mind. I just think if you're in the business, you should know about the business. And I think that is what really has kind of further hurt, Champs and Foot Locker. Even besides the backdooring situation, that's really hurt them because they don't get that experience.
Right.
And I believe people would buy more shoes if they know they can get a real general diagnosis like you used to get back in the day.
Yeah, now it's like people are just spending their money on the hype stuff because it's what other people are saying you should be buying instead of like, because like when it comes to basketball sneakers, is I love hooping. So my thing is like I'll watch the wear testers. I'll watch like the Soul Brothers and just see what they think about about a certain shoe, that's grip on the court. Can it do outside? Yep. Can it do inside? And you can't do that. You can't just go to a Foot Locker and get that. Like you have a separate part of Foot Locker. It's called House of Hoops, but nobody in there plays ball. Like it's the most craziest thing. I don't understand it. But how far up did you end up getting or were you just like, I'm in it for a little bit and I'm out of here? Or like
I stayed for about a year, and then I became Blockbuster was paying a lot more money, and I love as a movie guy, and I kept my. By that time, you know how it is when it comes to situations when you work in the industry, you build friends and connects. So I knew I had left friends and connects, so it was like making more money. I don't have to drive as far. It was like 5 minutes from my house. I was like, yo, I'm skipping. So, but I still maintain, the friendship. The guy that was hooking me up as a young kid, he's still there. Big shout out to Ron. He's still there. He remembered me when I was a young kid, just, little knucklehead, standing in line, being cool. so he's still, so my kids have gone to get stuff from him. And it's kind of weird that the circle of life when it comes to, kicks with me, because I don't treat it as just flip flam and fluff, man. I love this game.
No, yeah, me too. I think it's hard to express without seeming like an old head to these newer kids how much more inclusive this thing can be, right? I think it's hard. Like, that's my biggest problem right now, is not to be like, no, you don't understand, like, or like, or just be like, oh, before it was like this, like but it's so hard to express how much you can love something and not it be about monetary value.
Well, I can tell you this from experience. That used to be me in a very good phase of my sneaker collecting life. I was like that. I was like, get off my lawn. I was that old man, like, you don't wear your laces like that. That's what I was.
Yeah.
Not purposely. Mm-hmm. And because we were raised so different. And my mom used to always tell me when we used to see folks acting a fool in the store, in the store and stuff like that. And she was like, you'd be like, your mama gonna kill you. You know what I'm saying? You used to have that fear factor, but we weren't raised to be in that way. Mm-hmm. So when I see these young kids and they just they have the passion, but they don't understand the heart behind getting and growing within this game, it bothered me. But I started to learn from them a way different facet. But what they also have to understand is that when we're trying to reach our hand out to bridge that gap and us have an understanding, y'all need to do the same.
Agreed.
Because there was a lot. That's where the bumping of the heads become, because we can extend our hand as OGs and that younger generation, like, man, go get up out of here. Like, I mean, I don't be disrespectful to people, but I didn't told dude straight up, like, bro, you can't even touch my kids' collection. Like, I don't need you I need you to take several seats. They get real disrespectful real quick and try to come at your character. It's like, bro, you can't even touch my kids' collection. You can barely touch my wife's collection. So what are we talking about here? Like, we don't want to get dirty. I'm just talking to you real. And like, you don't have to take it there. And I try not to a lot of times. So, but
no, I mean,
sometimes you gotta let them know. Sometimes
I know, you gotta hit them with the 5 fingers on the chest. You gotta be like, just like, chill for a little bit.
You got too much dip on your chest. I need you to take several seats.
It's just I don't know. It's just like because. Were you able, because you talked about going into Houston for a little bit, and like that, I'm pretty sure that sneaker scene had to be totally different versus
from Houston. Houston, where my fam stay, it was Fifth Ward. We from is, I used to go down there and see my cousins in Fifth Ward. Like when they shot that Jason's Lyrics, where dude was shooting on the basketball court, like I didn't been there. And then when they shot that, and, big shout out to South Park. That's where, my grandmother stayed, so that's where that's where we still was in South Park. So that sneaker scene was really different. That's why I learned about a lot of the Air Forces was really heavy, and the Jordan was sneaking in there too, but it was just different. But then when you would go to, Mississippi, go to Jackson, it was totally different. It was Adidas. It was Saucony, it was New Balances. Like they had like stuff they could afford because it was a different vibe with the economics shaped that sneaker scene. So it was, we used to call them buddies. Like we used to have different phrases what buddies were back in the day, depending on where you live. Like we used, look, dude got on some buddies, we used to call them, you know what I'm saying? So it just shaped the sneaker scene back and where you were back in the day.
So buddies are non-Nikes?
Yeah, buddies are non-Nikes. We used to call them buddies. Buddies could be anything, because like
I might take that, man. I might take that. I'll be like, yo, Morgan, you wearing them buddies?
You wearing them buddies, man. It's just like, it could be like a hand-me-down too. Like somebody that gave you some beat-up shoes, like, and it ain't yours, they're your buddies. So you like, yo, you got on buddies. or you had you got on them. You could tell they just been beat down, just terrible, or they are really a torn down rendition of something that you call them buddies. So you got them buddies, man. Take them buddies off.
Oh my god!
you remember when the polo boots was real huge and the fake Timberlands and all that stuff?
Oh yeah, the I always talk about the fake Averex with the
man. We got
that came up with the fire.
Yeah,
I was like,
buddy boots. We just got man, you got on buddy boots. You know what I mean? We used to that was the term in the South we used, like the buddies.
I was big on Fimblins. I'd be like, yo, man, you wearing them Fimblins over there, bro? There's this area, because I'm from New York, so like there's this area called Roosevelt Ave, right? I mean, because you know about Chinatown. Always got the fakes, but Roosevelt Ave, because I'm from Queens, so like Roosevelt Ave used to have just like the dudes out there, and they would just have all the shoes in every single model you can think of, and it just say Air on it.
Yep.
And I'll be like, you see somebody pull up in the school with them joints? You'd be like, nah, man, where'd you get those, bro?
yo, it was acceptable though, because I remember going to the flea market in Houston. Like we would go before the summer, we would go down to that's when you had the fake Tommy Hilfiger, you had everything, like, and you just really could. It was so diluted, but it also was accepted. Like that was back in the day when I was like, you knew, like that stuff wasn't Tommy Hilfiger. You right, everybody knew, but everybody rocked it. And nobody, like now, if we did that, we would get ostracized. We would get killed. But back in the day, that's what it was. I remember getting when Nelly was doing the Air Force Ones with the pattern cut out and they really weren't Nikes. We was buying them fakes, but it was acceptable.
You had 2 pairs.
Yeah, when we used to get them those Jordans, that we was like, man, they never made those, but they had them
with the crazy color, with the colors that you've never seen.
But it was acceptable because it was like, yo, it was just it was cool. Just let it go. Like nobody, you can't do that now. But I remember that like it was yesterday. It shaped me. It made me humble too.
Yeah.
Because nobody knocked at each other. Nobody was out to make anybody hurt their feelings. We understood what circumstances we lived in and we just accepted it. Now we can't do that. That same amount of compassion and love and empathy we don't have. We will talk mad stuff about people and not understand what's going on in their life. And I hate that about the game. I hate that. So that's one of the things that taught me, man, was humbleness.
Yeah.
So we need that a lot more.
No, yeah, I think as you said, as OGs, I think we have to bring that back in terms of just like the idea of like my big thing, and I've been preaching this for a little bit, is that I don't think we need requirements to be a sneakerhead, right?
No.
Like, and a lot of people are like, oh, you got to have these 3 pairs. If you're not considered a sneakerhead. Like that all needs to stay back in 2008, bro. Like all that needs to stay back there. It doesn't need to be now, Like, I think a natural or an appreciation, something that brings you closer to a moment in time, that if it's a shoe, if it's the Jordan commercial, like, like if it's just like an isolated moment of time, it makes a bigger impact and it creates you having a love for sneakers, like your Sixes, like, like that is what should be the soul of being a sneakerhead. Not monetary value, not like, oh, I got the hypest stuff. Like I think that needs to be injected back into the community, or if you call it whatever we have right now as a community, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I've even said this and said things that are controversial because I've told people there's a lot of collectors in the game. There's people that just want to collect to have it as a showcase. They're not in it to know. They can't tell you their favorite shoe and why. They can't tell you the tech that's in the behind it. They can't tell you the lineage of shoes or where stuff comes from. They can't tell you that. And that's what we have to keep alive. Like that's where some of us are screaming to keep in talking about, not just the hype and putting a name and a material and a label on it. It's about everything that comes in the whyness of why technology keeps getting. Why did Tinker do this with the Huarache? Why did it go to the Jordan 7? It's just like all that we're fighting to keep alive. And I think that's what I don't ever want that to go away.
No, yeah, I think a lot of people need to realize that, you know, there's mad hours being put into this stuff, right? You know, like even with your contents too, right? We're trying to bring back, or my content as well, like trying to bring back this storytelling idea, because I feel like stories have been zapped out or just been manufactured into what we need to believe, like, you know.
I totally agree with that. I mean, I can point. There's not too much I can put in this room, and people have been asking me to do it. But I can go to every shoe in my box and tell you a story.
Mm-hmm.
I can sit down and tell you a 5-10 minute story. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember, you know, when this is the OG Cool Grade 11s. I remember my mama called me and asked me, was I okay when I got this shoe? Because they were shooting at the mall.
Whoa.
And people were getting beat up. The first shoe my mama called me, she was like, are you okay? Are you sure? You know what I'm saying? This is, you know, I got stories.
How did that happen?
Yeah, man, I got a story to tell.
Where was that at though?
That was in Little Rock.
Oh wow.
That was in Little Rock. They was shooting. It was on the news and everything. They was shooting and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, what else, man? I can tell you, this is one of my best finds. This is 16.5. Getting one of these and going to athlete's foot. Picking these up at 2:00, bringing my old school manager, Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. I mean,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's wild.
I got a story. I got a story to tell. Like, and I said this on our show that I was telling people. I was like, Nike didn't give us a reimagined story.
No, yeah.
They just let us imagine the story we wanted. Do you understand how from an advertising? I've been in advertising 10 years. It's my thing. Do you know how much I was craving to run that campaign? Because I just thought it was raw. I think once the pictures were leaked of what it was,
right,
in the box, I think Nike said, "Fuck it,
we here, just throw it out." Yeah,
just forget about it. Because I don't think you got to look at that. Look at how that shoe was. Why was there not anything around that lost and found? There was nothing around that shoe,
especially not here. Because like I remember seeing the video. There's the post, but they did like they made like a fake Sandy's bro in China. Why out there? Like, why is this not in here? Why is this not in New York? Why is it not in Chicago? Like, or a big metropolitan city? Like, instead, like make it like a destination to go. You pull up. You can sell as many pairs as you want. Just throw them all there. Like, you know what I mean?
That's one of the things that frustrates me about Nike is that I think that their program managers are suffering because I don't know if it's Nike not telling them or just them not being creative. Yeah. I just think that they've missed a lot of campaigns on making sure that things are out. I mean, I griped and almost threw that shoe away. Was the Jackie Robinson dunk. I thought that shoe was a top 5 shoe of the year in my opinion, and I thought that they just shit it in the box.
I
said, why would you?
That was it.
I said, why would you put this beautiful, gorgeous shoe about this wonderful, inspiring man in a shitty box? And the undertones that people didn't understand with that. People were like, oh, don't worry about it. But for me, as a black man that played baseball since the age of 5 and I coach my kids, that means something to me. That means we're not getting our 40 acres and a mule. That means so much to me in representation. Is what we're fighting for. Is what I fight for 99% of the time on my page. Is getting representation and inspiring people to go after what they want to do. Turn your passion into your profession. Mm-hmm. But it's just certain things like that. Going back to that shoe, I just think that they just don't look at a lot of stuff. And just like the Nike Trainer 1, mm-hmm. They rolled the OGs back. We didn't get a campaign for them until 2 months after the shoe came out.
Right? Yeah, it was funny because like I enjoy that shoe, but I enjoy it because of the SB version of the shoe. Yeah. Right. That pair I've always wanted, but I ended up getting the re-releases. Yeah, those I got the re-releases.
My SB pair, the SB pair is over there. I got.
You got them? Oh, I'm jealous.
Play with me.
My bad.
I don't play. I'll pull up. They sitting right over there. Don't worry about it. You want to see them? I got them right there.
But yeah, I just think that like they're definitely just pumping out shoes at this point, right? There's no real like. I mean, listen, like I don't know. Did you watch Grails on Hulu? I love that story so much because you get to see the encompassing growth of them, of both O and I've forgotten the other guy's name now, but both of the East Side Golf guys, and see like, oh, this is the first Jordan golf shoe, like, and you can see how much of their time they're putting into their stuff, and then they're also getting to tell their stories through that shoe because it's such a brand new thing that like Jordan's just like, oh, we get to do whatever we want with this, like, you know. Yeah. I think, but it's like, and then when you think about it, when you think about all the other releases that Nike does, and they're just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna throw this out. All right, just throw it on the app. Put it like I walked into my local store and I was able to just walk in and get the Nike Air Trainer 1 chlorophylls, and I mean I was happy for that because I really enjoy that shoe, but they were just like, oh yeah, it's just like it's sitting here, you can just grab it. But I'm like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Such a shoe with such a long heritage, right? That was only it wasn't even getting re-released every other year. This was like 6-7 years.
We had 5, 6, 7 years where we didn't get anything. Yeah, and, you know, I stand on there as a component. When people that also know me, they know me for doing Trainer Tuesdays and keeping that alive. I thought last year for Nike, I applauded their efforts in giving us the Trainer 1s back. I thought they didn't, you know, they were late to the table for the chlorophyll 1s, but the amount of OG colorways, the Midnights to the new layer, the new level of Trainer 2, they elevated that shoe with those 3 new versions, those SE versions of Trainers. Yeah, I have 2 out of the 3 of the pair.
I got one. I got the gray mint pair, whatever you want to call it, the gray aqua pair.
I got you. Okay, you have the one I don't have because I have the chlorophyll, and then I have I call them the Lionheart care. They look like the Thundercats because they look like a Thundercat.
Yeah.
I got those. I love the fact that they did that and it elevated, but kept that shoe. They upgraded that shoe. So if you were going to upgrade any type of shoe and do it and give it something that was appealing to the eye, I applaud whoever created that shoe and gave it a whole new life.
Yeah.
I also want to applaud Travis. Like, people didn't know, like, the bottom of that shoe is actually the bottom of the shoe the way the trainers actually came.
Mm-hmm.
When McEnroe was playing in them.
That's wild. You know, I didn't know because I wasn't able to get
know that, like little tidbits. Like, why is the bottom of the shoe? Well, that's actually the way the shoe looked at the bottom. You know, like, people didn't know that. It was like little bitty things. Like, that trainer looked good to me.
Yeah.
That trainer, I have both pairs. And I got them for retail. And I was so happy. I was sweating bullets because I thought I was going to miss that shoe.
Mm-hmm.
I love Trainer 1s. I love it. But I don't think they've introduced it right. I mean, I was a component. I wish they would introduce Bo's line back.
Oh, yeah. Correctly. Me too, man. Me too.
Give us some 91s back. Give us some. Give us some.
I don't understand why they have it. Like, if they're bringing us the Trainer 1s, like, do that. And then I was recently looking at the Trainer 2 lows,
mm-hmm.
the Supreme joints. Like, I was like, yo, bring those too. Like, if you're gonna do that, I was like,
don't worry, I got them. No, I'm upstairs. I got them too. Don't worry about it. I got them too.
I might have to try to find a pair on eBay, man, because I was looking at them the other day. I was like, yo, I gotta get them.
Yep, I got the white. I got the white pair. I got the white, the white, red, and green pair.
Yeah, you got everything. I'm jealous.
Yeah, and the only reason why I didn't get the black pair is because I have the Gucci. The Gucci Trainer 1s, which is with the green and the red and the black. So I was like, I don't need that one.
I mean, just making me jealous here, man.
Trainers, I don't miss up, but people be hitting me up. They're like, Miller, you need this trainer? I'm like, man, I already got it. You know how many people sent me that Bo Jackson Raiders trainer?
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want that shoe. Because I've got the Max 91 with the Raiders on the back. trainer.
Wow.
I don't want that. If it's gonna be the Raiders trainer,
all you're missing is a Charles Woodson jersey, man. You get to go.
Yeah, so yeah, I want the real deal. But yeah, they need to bring some bow lines back.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely wanted to talk about your show and you know, like what because like I find IG shows just very hard to do because like it's all about like you got to make sure people pulling up, and then you got to get everybody's got to have stable connections. Like it's definitely a tough show. But what inspired you to start it?
Well, I started Miller's Corner when quarantine started, when COVID, and it was just my way of just meeting people. I wanted to I knew people I wasn't gonna meet, but it was a lot of people that I could meet, and the live thing was starting to kick off, and I thought it was really cool. And I just kind of was like, yo, you want to chop it up? And I just kind of, and I came with it coming from a background in advertising. I knew how to structure a show. So I had gave the guest the questions. So I have you on, I give you the questions, and that's what we talk about. So I can get the best out of my guests. And it just kind of, people started catching on. People started like, that was entertaining. That was, oh. And then Greg came along, and, you know, when it got even worse, and he was my consistent guest. And it was like, yo, you want to keep doing this thing on Wednesday nights? And yeah, okay. And then it was like, oh, you want to come up with a name? And then it was like, oh, okay, I'll come up with a name. And we came up with If the Shoe Fits. And then we had, we added Rick. Rick is our third member of it. And it just kind of morphed. But the purpose of our show, the whole content of the show is to talk about the universe of sneakers. There's so many things you can talk about. And I don't want to talk about the big headlines. If we do talk about a big headline topic, I give you substance. And that's what we're all about. We want to give you substance. We want to be fair. We want to be equal. We want to be educational to people, to our listeners. So we do everything. So we talk about everything, but we're fair about situations. We're not going to shy away from things. So the show was based around just talking about everything, whether it was a bad release, a good release, who lying, what's fake, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So it was just something I came up with, and it's been going good. So this is our fourth season of the If the Shoe Fits, and got big things coming.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can't wait. I mean, hopefully I get to be a guest one time. You know?
Yeah, man. You know, yo, I got you, man, for real. Like, I always return the favor, man.
Yeah.
Like, I love watching y'all. You know, I'm still trying to ingratiate myself into the TikTok community.
I'm trying myself. I'm not in there. Man, you can't say y'all. I'm not in there yet.
Yeah, you in there. You a lot closer than me if you're gonna say anything. You're a lot closer than me. But I've just been a quiet observer and an admirer of some of the people that are in the community, you know, running around. Morgan, because Morgan was the most prominent one. Him and Sneakonomics, and Flex and them. And, you know, those are the kind of the guys that kind of stuck out. And I kind of thought, you know, things I don't agree with, there's things that, you know, we always gonna have that. You know, but you know, they've been very fair, and I followed. And I became really big fans of them, you know. But I would always, one of my goals for 2023 was to be more inclusive and more having a gap. So you guys, going on the TikTok world, come over to Instagram, because we see the Instagram and TikTok, them two different entities. Those are not the same.
And don't even think about Sneaker Twitter. Sneaker Twitter is something else, man.
Leave it alone. But I think the easiest thing we could possibly do is get together and share content, share platforms. And that's what I would really, really want to do in 2023.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't think I'm part of TikTok, sneaker TikTok yet. I'm trying. It's
you in there. You in there.
Look, I'm the old guy.
I see you. I see you.
It's because you follow me, but I'm the old guy here.
I see you. Listen, man, I see a lot of people. I'm one of those guys. I'm inquisitive. I'll go down the rabbit hole just so I can learn and meet new people. Because I want to be influenced. I get influenced by people in the game.
Yeah.
You can sway me on a lot of stuff, whether it be shoes, whether it be fashion, whether it be trends. I'm open. I'm an open book. I can be swayed, and I want to lead by example when it comes to that, because I think people have this opinion and they think that word is born. So I can't be moved. And it's like, come on, man, you can be moved. You know what I'm saying? Let's have a discussion. I think one of the most heated and oddest discussion I had on Twitter was when I put the Armaniers, the 1 through 4.
Yeah.
And I told people to rank them.
Mm-hmm.
And just to see the amount of, you crazy, the 2 is the greatest. It was just like, but it got a little ugly, but then it got really good.
Yeah.
I
just want to say with that, just because like the Armaniers, like there are people that just look at the construction of the shoe and not the message of each shoe and don't rank it with both. And then, or they just go, it's just that to me, each one of those shoes have so much more deeper meaning. Yeah. And I think that gets underlooked crazily. Like it's so underlooked. Like I think what James Whitner did in order to get more of a conscious, like in order to get more conscious buying is great in terms of just being like a conscious sneakerhead or a person who's just into sneaker and messages within the sneaker community. But like, I mean, we were talking about manufactured stories, and I think what he was doing was we all have the same stories we all have a piece of the story in these shoes. And it's not like the ones where like, well, this is a fake, like, we just found a bunch of 1,000 pairs of Jordans now, and this is what they look like now. Like, like him being like, yo, the 3s are about being raised by women. Like, the 2s, I forgot the story of the 2s. And I also don't remember the story of the 1s either. But I know the 4s are
was the crack, was the rose from the crack.
Oh, yeah.
From the crack from Western College. Yeah. And that one. I mean, and then the last one
is about
I can tell you this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you this. The Whitner, I mean, just to talk about the whole Armanier thing, it's beautiful. It's just the elegance of what he's brought back to the game and with that release. It's an essence of the Ben collection. And that was the first thing when I first saw the first one we ever got, the 3. I said, this has Bennis. This has that Ben feel.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand how much they put into that Ben feel. Because I guarantee if you would have put a shoehorn in one of them shoes or all of them shoes, what we talking about here?
Exactly.
What we talking about here?
Exactly.
Like people don't understand. People do not understand. Because it was a secret society, I felt at one time in the sneaker game. And when those bins dropped, it was a secret society of how you could get them and who got their hands on them and who you knew. That's to have those or one of those in your collection it holds a lot of weight to me.
No, yeah. I mean, because like I grew up with that happening. But I didn't understand it. Like I wasn't part.
Exactly.
It was literally like a secret society.
Yeah, it was like a secret society. That's what. Like even remember when I remember.
I stopped somebody with the 5s, with the Ben 5s. I was like, yo, those are crazy. And he was just like, yeah, man, Ben 5s. And I was just like, Ben 5s. And then he just walked away. And that was it. It stuck in my head. I was it after that.
I'm telling you, I mean, I remember. Remember the Lightning Force drop?
Yeah.
And people thought it was fake.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, yeah, that's the real drop. And being like, find somebody's house. It wasn't like jump on your phone back then.
Yeah.
It was find somebody's house with internet.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was. It was like, there was no, we got the news. Yeah. It was like paging time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, when we talk about the hunt, like that was the hunt.
That was definitely the hunt.
That was the hunt back in the day because we didn't have that. We didn't have that back in the day. I miss those days. Just
or like when stores like when the Jumpman 23 opened and it was just like everybody talking about it for weeks. Yo, I heard they opened a Jumpman 23, and then you just like where? And then you gotta find it. Like yeah.
That was the back. I mean, I remember. I mean, I got corrected on my show. I mean, I was like, some guy was like, man, you remember when they let you design your Jordan 1s? I was like, man, what are you talking about? Jordan 1 Alphas.
Yeah. Jordan 1 Alphas, man.
I was like, oh my God. I don't remember, but when I thought somebody had sent me the site of what it looked like, I said, oh, I sure do remember that. Like, it was just, I'm telling you, that, like, that's what I miss. Like, I have so many ideas of curating content, of just somebody needs to document like our feelings, like when we have conversations like that. So people like you that's chronicalizing all this right now, we need that, because like I told people early in my days, that people was getting to know me, I'm a JCPenney's kid. And a lot of people didn't understand what I meant by that.
No, I did.
That's another.
I was Sears kid, so I was really
So you understand. You know that wording. You understand. Like, so, I grew up not getting the Jordans and the high shoes. We had the deal with the trainers. That's what we got. We didn't get the up tempos. We got the more up tempo.
Oh yeah, I remember those, yo. I remember those.
Reggie Miller was my favorite. Was my second favorite player next to Jordan.
Say that, man. You heard me, man.
Yeah, Reggie Miller was my last name Miller. So it's automatic. I know. Big shout out to Morgan. I'm Morgan, a Pacers fan. So, but Reggie Miller was my favorite. So I had the more up tempos because he had the more up tempos.
Yeah,
and because the up tempos I had the full air.
Right.
Those were $60 more. Mom's wasn't giving me that extra $60.
Just to be able to see the air unit.
Nah, the pennies was the same way. Pennies was at the JC Penney's. Mama, would have $500-$600 on credit. She can get those and pay those off in 6 months. That's how we budgeted our stuff. So I tell people, so you a Sears baby, I was a JC Penney's baby. We had to appreciate the shoes and gyms and relationship building. Yeah. Like, we used to, like, my mom was like, we don't even go in the Foot Locker. Don't even go. I used to love going in the Foot Locker. When they had the basketball hoop, when you used to walk in and hoop, man, y'all used to, you didn't know nothing about the track. Y'all didn't even stand on the tracks back in the day, man. Y'all can't even talk.
I mean, I only had small Foot Lockers. The first Foot Locker I ever saw or ever went into was the one. There was like the one on 34. No, it wasn't even the one on 34th Street. There was the first one that I ever went to was the one by my house. I lived next to one, and so like it was literally just like the bottom of a apartment building, and like there was a Foot Locker right there. So I would just on the way home, I would just go walk in. Oh, what's coming out? Like that's it. That's the extent I got.
No, we had the big one with had the ladies on the side and the men and the kids was in the back. You had the big scoreboard when you checked out. Like you had the track. Yo, we had those. We had those.
That's fancy.
They don't do it like that though.
They don't. That's fancy.
They don't do it like that though. They don't do it like. But anyway.
No, man, that was amazing. But since we're coming down to the end, close to the end of the podcast, I want to ask you another question. And that question is, think about you as a young kid opening that pair of sixes the first time. What would you tell yourself as you were opening that box?
I would tell myself, and actually I have a TikTok that I made that people was doing that when they was looking in the mirror. I know they was looking outside the window. It was like, no. In that first pair of shoes, they're like, it opens the door for so much. I would tell them, hold on to those a lot harder than what you did. Don't go for stuff. I want you to keep the stuff that you have, because that one shoe you're going to have so many memories, and it's going to connect you with your family. It's going to connect you with people seeing you across this app in the future. And you're going to be admired for the one thing that you always wanted, was to be a representation of this community as a Black father. And I would tell them, you're going to do big things, just that one shoe. That one shoe is going to spark a movement of people around you. So.
Oof, man, that give it chills. Everybody listening definitely like, I felt that, man. I felt that.
I'm a deep thinker when it comes to like, thinking about this game in layers, because I think that this game is not just, 1-2 step. It's so many layers and so many people that inspire me, just the little bit things. And I always try to show people love back, because you don't never know who needs to hear, like, man, you doing good things. Who needs to hear, yo, man, you inspired me to try something. We need to be more gracious this year. Because we can tell people, yo, keep going. Just those DMs that I get a lot of times from people, I tell them every time, when next time I see them comment, I send them a DM. Thank you man. I was inspired. This show was inspired by you. Or this question would inspire our conversation. I just think we need to do more, because this game is just, there's a lot of people trying to steer us away from what they're getting, the passion, the real trueness of the game. Mm-hmm. And that's what I don't like. So with that being said, we have to band together and get people like-minded like us and create the brotherhood in the community around it of trueness and fairness and everything that encompasses the goodness of what we grew up on. And don't let this hype of you got to have this and this checklist and gatekeeping, let that shit go away.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
I think it's something that needs to be pushed out more. That's why I tailor my stuff instead of just like, it's more like questions and like, I just want to get a better sense of where we are right now. And I mean, it's why this podcast was created. Like, I'd rather talk about how we got here and highlight as much as we can of not saying that like, oh, this is like the best of times, but it's times that we can create again. Like, like,
yeah, we can.
Exactly. And I think it's a lot of what is on the internet now pushes us away from it. It's pushing us towards the consumerism of it, and not the idea, which is the fact that, I mean, this year is, for me, I believe in that as well, of just pushing more positivity through this. But I also feel like we need to make a point of our money is worth as much as we are. Like, in terms of just like you don't just spend the $5,000 to get your pair because it's what's going to make you feel better, right? No, it's more about, why did you want to get that pair? That's the reason why you're going to feel better. Like, like it gets missed upon. And I think as we do our type of content, people get more awareness of it. We're going to bring it back. It's not going to be overnight. And I won't think that it's ever going to be overnight. But if I can change one person's view on what we think is more than just a hobby, it's not something that dictates us, but it's something that excites us. It's something that makes us come back and be like, yo, this is great. Like, I can't believe I got these. Like, that's something that needs to be looked at as honorable, versus it being like, oh, you're just buying it for money. Like, you're like, or you're just going to sell it for this and that, like. Yeah,
we open ourselves up for stuff like that, because I mean, I remember when I first started doing stuff with my kids and posting stuff with my kids, we've been doing that for, it'll be 10 years in September. And I remember just doing that, and people hated and thought I was clout chasing. People thought I was just trying to do that to get attention. I was like, why am I, if I am trying to get attention, is it good attention? Is it genuine? And I think that was the one thing I hated defending myself on, and I couldn't defend myself on certain situations. Because I mean, you had to just watch how I move.
Yeah.
And I feel like, even when you meet new people, you're auditioning to keep their interest. Mm-hmm. When you remember how back in the day, and how long you've been on Instagram, but I remember the days where if you like somebody's picture 5 or 6 times, you got an instant follow right after.
Yeah.
I remember those days. And I remember those people that just followed and genuinely love. Now it's an audition. you gotta go through that 2-week period. You better be showing me love and commenting and liking and saving, you know. And it's just like where it became a task, and it was just like, damn. Then you get the unfollows. You know, it was just craziness. You know, I don't. You know, now, I mean, I haven't moved on my number in 2 years. I've been stuck at that number for 2 years. I can't move it. Like, I can't grow.
I wouldn't say that, man. We're gonna get you up. We're gonna get you on here. We're gonna get you.
I don't want to no more. Like, I'm so content because I don't have faith in that K.
Yeah.
I've seen people that got way more followers than me and don't have nearly as much impact and much knowledge. When it comes into, I've learned that, you know, that I've earned my position and where I am in this game. I didn't buy it, and I don't flaunt it.
Right.
You can come to my content and see. It's just me and my kids just hanging out, being blessed in the moment, and that's what I want. Positivity. You hit on that earlier. Positivity, man. Positivity.
That we need more of it because
having fun.
Yeah.
You know,
it's all we got is what my boy would always tell me.
Yeah.
All we got. So
yeah,
you know, like, why would we try to just knock each other down? Like, why would we keep trying to knock each other down? Like,
nah.
Yeah, man. But appreciate you jumping on this episode. This episode was amazing. And for everybody out there, you know what we say every week: wear your kicks. Peace.